Hello there and welcome back to another review. Today we're going to be having a look at the classic Project A, Jackie Chan's Project A, made back in 1983. This was basically Jackie starting what would become sort of known as the golden age of sort of kung fu Hong Kong movies, especially that ran throughout the 80s. This was Jackie Chan. Project A in many ways sort of started it, but it definitely gave it a lot more traction, a lot more momentum. As I say, made in 1983, a film that Jackie Chan was shooting back to back with Winners and Sinners. In many ways, Project A was the birth of the Jackie Chan movie. It was very much like, I know he directed Young Master before and Dragon Lord and Fearless Hyena, but this was pretty much Jackie doing his own thing, showing what, the stunts, everything being more elaborate, the kung fu, the slapstick, even more, as I say, what's known as sort of started what became known as the quote-unquote Jackie Chan movie. What is very interesting here is that Jackie, does play somewhat of a policeman, but here the focus mainly is on Coast Guards and the idea of sort of like the Marine police. Jackie's previous film, Dragon Lords, whilst enjoying okay success in 1982, it wasn't as big, I don't think, as what they were hoping it was going to be. I don't think it was sort of the hit necessarily that they were expecting Dragon Lord to be. Obviously, the Dragon Lord initially was going to be a follow-up to Young Master, and I don't think it done as well as what they wanted it to. So Project A, pretty much Jackie wanted to sort of up his game somewhat. He wanted to really sort of show, right, I want to show you what I can do type of thing. Really going all out here. Different setting, more faster paced, more elaborate stunts, and it was the perfect vehicle for Jackie Chan to pay homage and respect to the people that inspired him, like Harold Lloyd and Buster Keaton. Though saying that, I don't think he was aware of or had seen Buster Keaton or Harold Lloyd at this point, or I think it was something he saw after the fact when people were noting out the similarities. I could be wrong, but it's definitely the whole project, especially the Project A's, Project A 1 and 2, they do have this whole Buster Keaton thing going through it, this homage, and Jackie Chan obviously paying big homage to Buster Keaton with the scaffolding that the bamboo that falls on him at the end, much like in that famous Buster Keaton movie. So let's say this was Jackie Chan really showing basically what he can do. It was only around this time that, like I say, with the Buster Keaton thing, when Westerners started making that comparison. And also, what is amazing, to make sure the film was going to work, to make sure Jackie Chan was working with people he trusted, knowing he was in safe hands, knowing he had a great cast around him. He got Yuen and Sammo Hung along the ride too, which really does aid so much to Project A. Project A 2 suffers a little, I think, from their absence, but Project A especially, as I say, made sure that Sammo and Yuen were along for the ride. Just people he trusted, people he knew he could depend on. The fighting here, much like Dragon Lord, had turned into sort of brawls and scuffles. It wasn't sort of like sophisticated as sort of his earlier work was in sort of Snake and Eagle Shadow and Drunken Master. Here, it's more like sort of barroom brawls, punch-ups. Like I say, although the fights are obviously choreographed and there is some style there, it's very rough and raw, the fights in Project A, which makes it so much fun. Gone with the straight fluid movements of doing like Snake Fist and the stylized old kung fu movies. The setting is different. Very much what became known as the Jackie Chan movie, at least starting it off. The film in many ways plays like one of the comedies of the sort of silent era from Hollywood. Like with Dragon Lord, the focus was like more on stunt work than fisticuffs all the time. I remember buying this movie in Oxford Street in London on VHS around 97 time, because I'd seen Project A2 at that point. I actually saw Project A2 first, so I actually saw Project A1 after 2. And like I said, I'd seen Project A2 everywhere. It'd been on the TV, and whenever I watched this film, I always find myself. Another thing to note is the theme tune. So whenever I watch this movie, whenever I watch it, I'm always whistling the theme song for like a day or so afterwards, because it does stick in my head. So we have Dick Way here as well, playing the evil pirate Sam Powell. As mentioned, Jackie Dragon Ma works for the Coast Guards. The police and the Coast Guards have quite an intense rivalry in this movie. And I love how the police chief reminds of like the police chief in this reminds me a bit of sort of Captain Harris from Police Academy. Not in like the way he looks or anything like that, of course not, but just in sort of his whole demeanour, and that he's the one always sort of giving them a hard time, but he always sort of gets the short end of the stick. Like always against Jackie and his team, but at the same time always, like I say, getting sort of being the butt of the joke. So even the opening scene alone of the barroom brawl between the police and the Coast Guards really does set the standard for the film. It really does get, you know, the fight going. You know, this is a barroom brawl, right? And it's a fantastic scene and a great way to kick off Project A that really does work and sets the tone for the film. And I love how Jackie's trying to play it all cool at the start. Once Yuen pours like a beer on his head, Jackie's actually the one who lands the first punch, or at least starts it, because Jackie's trying to calm everybody down. It's like, yeah, it's it's spilt beer, no tears, or trying to make sure a fight doesn't break out. But Jackie is the one that actually sort of starts the fight. And it's, I mean, even as I say, the fight is rough and ready. It's still choreographed and with absolute perfection. And again, some real funny stuff here. So, some cops and sailors walking in at one point, and they're friends, and they're all hugging. And then once they see all the cops and the sailors are sort of having a massive fight, they start just beating up each other as well, even though they've obviously just enjoyed a good night in the town. I love that little bit. So some real great comedy here. Yuen and the other bit is like Jackie Chan and Yuen trying to hide their injuries that they've got because they're fighting each other, and they sort of go behind the wall to sort of hide the fact, like sort of how much the other person has hurt them. Or like the other one with the guy continuously wanting to throw spaghetti in someone's face. It all works, and it's a great, like I say, a great way to start the movie. It sets up that comedy slapstick, how fast and, like I say, how much energy there is to the fight scenes. Yuen is the nephew of the police captain Chi, so just as they're about to set sail, their ships get blown up in what can only be deemed a nice sort of miniature shot, as sort of the only way they could do it at the time. Still prefer miniatures, so like I've mentioned many times, over CGI and computerized effects. Just a lot more practical. Very quick scene, you just see the ships blow up. So in order to get some rifles for Sam Powell, one of the villains recruits Faye, played by Sammo, to help him like get the guns. Who works as he's sort of a swindler, sort of hustler type in this Sammo, a role that he's sort of like a bit like the Dragons Forever type, right? Sort of like a bit of a rogue, doesn't always follow the law exactly right, always got bits of schemes or something going on. So he's a bit of a hustler, a bit of a swindler. This kind of character, Sammo, is absolutely amazing, and it just suits him so well. So the Coast Guard captain has a plan called Project A to take out the pirates, but the Coast Guards get disbanded and they sort of all become cops. So it's a bit of a novel approach there. Jackie Chan not just doing like a cop guy. I mean, here in this, like I say, he is a Coast Guard, though he does become a cop. In Project A2, there's very little of any mention sort of the Coast Guards. Like Project A2 is just a cop throughout, but here he was like a Marine cop, and then he turns into just a standard cop. Some great sort of fun training scenes here. Not the type of training you'd get in a typical kung fu movie. This is sort of a different type of training. As I say, it's akin to something more like Police Academy, sort of that kind of thing, like Jackie Chan being told how to salute properly. And this is what makes the film so beloved, is that at its core, at the root of it, it's just so damn fun. It's really is. I mean, Jackie Chan in this movie, he is really enjoying himself. You can tell he is. He's got such a sort of smile on his face the whole time. You can tell he's really enjoying shooting this movie, and like I say, with Yuen and Sammo there, he's obviously having a blast doing this. Yuen teaching them also how to shower quickly, or the grenade training. It's all good fun stuff with Mars as well, getting in on the fun. So they go to arrest a local gangster, and like I say, this was Jackie really sort of moving on from what he had started in Dragon Lord in regards to sort of fight sequences. The fight sequences are a far cry from what you'd seen sort of in Young Master, in Fearless Hyena, Snake, and Drunken Master. These were a lot more intense. These were a lot more brutal, and like I say, the focus was more on stunt work, on falls, on just stuntmen crashing into things. It wasn't so much on the fight choreography itself. It was more of like I say, an action movie, as opposed to sort of a typical martial arts kung fu movie. Look no further than Jackie flying down the stairs and landing on the rail, furniture, and God knows what else is used. That element where it's rough and it's like a brawl, but at the same time really amazing, well choreographed, really fast, intense stuff. So Faye knows Dragon, and they both go to get some rifles from Captain Chi late at night. So Jackie finds out Sammo is just using him, and the villains want to know where the rifles are. Like, Sammo puts like a red ribbon on the log where the rifles are hidden, but Jackie puts one on all the logs after he finds out what he's really up to, so Sammo actually can't find where the rifles are, which is quite funny the way he sort of stitches him up like that. This is where for a moment in the movie the action doesn't stop. There's actually a moment in the movie around this time, because the whole premise of the film at its core is just about sort of these rifles. Really, that there's these pirates, they want some rifles, and that's really at the core what really all the film is about. But this moment in the film, the action doesn't stop. There's a segment in the movie where it's like a roller coaster. It just keeps going and going and going, and with the music and the setting, it just works so well. And it's no wonder this film always gets sort of 5 stars, because it stands for so much. Project A, it was sort of, like I say, the first of its sort of kind in a way. So I mean, literally, it goes from Jackie Chan trying to run away with a girl through the streets, then we have the classic bicycle chase, to a mini sort of tea house fight with Sammo, then Jackie climbing a flagpole handcuffed, like I say, I might add. He climbs like a flagpole with his hands like cuffed together. And with the camera angle used, and you look at that shot where he is climbing the flagpole, there's no safety net beneath him. Jackie's at the top of this thing, and you can actually see the thing doing like, there's nothing beneath him, but he's climbing it, and you're just, like, the angle that they shoot it at, I mean, he's really up there. You know, there's nothing beneath him. I'm sure there might have been stuntmen on the side ready to dash in with mattresses or something, or mats or whatever, if something did happen, but that point in particular, there's nothing below Jackie at all. There's absolutely nothing there. So it just incredible stuff. So I mean, when he jumps into the clock tower, and notice as well the sets here, and with all the cogs and the wheels when he jumps into the clock tower where he fights Lee Hoi Sang, really so amazing stuff. And it just so happens one of the villains is there again, like I say, played by Lee, and this is probably the most brutal fight of the film, although it's very quick. What makes it so brutal is that there's no music in this bit. It's quite dark. It's quite eerie being in that clock tower, and Lee Hoi Sang is quite menacing in this bit. And he's got, like I say, this hammer or something he's using, and say that bit is quite intense, although very brief. Then we had the classic clock fall, which apparently took Jackie, I think I read somewhere, it took him 2 weeks to get the courage to actually make the fall from the clock tower, and I don't blame him at all. It's obviously something that would terrify anybody, but he wanted to get a big stunt in there, something he'd later sort of like elaborate and go more forward on police story. Even the fall itself, you see like 2 different takes, and it works. It works. Now, in another film, that wouldn't necessarily work, but here you see him fall. It's in the middle of the film, but you actually see him fall twice, 2 different takes of the same thing. But it does work. It does work in regards to the film. So Dick Wei's pirate Sampo ambushes a foreign ship and takes them hostage. I mean, Dick Wei here, I mean, like I've mentioned, I've mentioned his name before in many sort of kung fu, sort of Sammo Hung movies I reviewed, but he is having an absolute blast here. And this is probably, I would say, his most prominent role, definitely probably one of his most famous roles that people sort of recollect him playing. He, you know, any film Sammo Hung from the 80s, and more often than not, Dick Wei will be in it. But I think he, you know, just the way he is in this, like the tattoos, the way he walks, his body language, it's a great character for Dick Wei to play, and he really does well as the main villain. So, to infiltrate Sampao's lair, Jackie goes in disguise as Mr. Chow, the man who was meant to be supplying the guns, and Sammo is on board the ship. Jackie in this moment here really making use of the locations, and with the music and the way it all builds to approaching Sampao's hideout, it really works. It all comes together really nicely. Sammo pretends to be one of the pirates, and Jackie's team, along with Yuen arrive, and we have some sort of Enter the Dragon sort of creeping around, knocking out the guards thing at night that they do, and there's like a bit of comedy as well. Again, proving how like where the film translates so well. It doesn't matter really what country you're from to enjoy this movie, especially what that say where they're trying to figure out the password. And which is a joke they could have probably kept going because it was really funny stuff, and Yuen just can't seem to figure out what the password is, and he's trying to, because as they're all disguised as pirates, it does get confusing. But again, doesn't matter where you're from, you can understand the joke here. You could even probably watch it without the sound on and you'd still get sort of the premise of the joke and what's happening. I love all the confusion here, so with you and trying to get the right password, and that's what's great about this film. Like mentioned, if you watch it silently, with subtitles, without subtitles, dubbed, it doesn't matter. This is the genius of work that is going on here. Sammo goes to row away, but spots Lee Hoi San's character returning, as he will know Chan isn't Mr. Chow. So Sammo returns to obviously help his buddy. Great frenetic ending. Yuen getting to show some of his great leg work that he does, some of his great kicks and his speed. Yuen getting really to shine at the end. All trying to take on Sampao. Mars with the grenades, trying to blow up all the exits. The whole film is so chaotic. It is actually quite a chaotic film. It's funny, when I think of Project A, I watch it, you enjoy it, but the film is so fast and so quick, and it's like I said, there's so much going on with Project A. Project A 2 does slow down off the gears a bit, but Project A is quite full on. It is literally, just the fun, just every scene just keeps on going and going and going. It's simple, it's fun, and it's a work of genius though, Project A. And I say in many ways it was the real start of the 80s golden age, because say you had the classic kung fu movies in the 70s, but Project A was sort of spearheading sort of what we would get in that classic golden age of 80s Hong Kong sort of kung fu cinema, with Jackie, Sammo, Yuen, and the classic stunt guys they work with. I mean, regarding Jackie Chan films, Project A is probably, like with many of them, like with Police Story, like Snake, like Drunken Master, Young Master, I mean, the list goes on. But Project A, especially, if you're only familiar with Rush Hours and the typical, Western US releases from Jackie Chan, you want to get into more of his Hong Kong-based work. Project A is a must-see. Project A is a film that it is Jackie Chan starting everything of why he becomes so big and why he's like one of the best action star of all time. This is a film that everyone you really should see it. It's fun, it's friendly, it's only a PG, there's nothing horrible in this movie. It's the kind of film your kids could watch. And it's just a fantastic piece of work, and like I say, with Sammo and Yuen along for the ride too, and a great performance from Dick Wei, and amazing stunt work, really incredible stunt work from Jackie Chan. It's definitely a must see. So if you haven't seen Project A, make sure to go and check it out, and thank you very much indeed for watching. Hope you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you soon.